Alright, hello to whoever's watching this. This is not a Canon showcase video, this is more of a concept showcase. Um, this was one I came up with maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago for like, I guess, a true hammerless Ufusion. So like the internal powers, the external powers, and the hammer is all loaded into the same compartment. So you don't need that external power compartment, and it uses render queue instead to split away your internal and external powers. So basically how it works is like this is basically the setup that I'm using for my hammerless, just with a bit of extra splitting. So everything gets shot into here, gets shot up. You got the standard render queue arrangement, but you've got a second fence gate back there. So how this works is I have four powers. So I've got my internal powers, the ones that sit in the barrel, at 0 and 2. My external powers at 2 and 4, and then my hammer at 6. So this is the arrangement that I have for this cannon. So where it says 2, 4, that's my internal powers. Where it says 0, 2, that's my oh sorry, 0, 2 is my internal powers. 2, 4 is my external powers. Well, don't mix barrels and powers, whatever. So yeah, 0, 2 is my internal powers. 2, 4 is my external powers, and then 6 is my hammer. So in this case here for this cannon, this little set of dispensers, this 3 by I think like 30, so you get about 100 power. This 3 by 30 setup here is 99 power. This is for the internal powers. It also pulses the hammer again, and that's just so that I think that pulses the hammer again, or maybe this end pulses the hammer. One of these just pulses the hammer again, and that's just because one side doesn't do all the hammer. You just need to add a little bit extra hammer, but that's fairly easy to add to this anyway. Anyway, for the rendering and how it's splitting. So the biggest change is instead of having like one redstone tick between your internal and external powers, this cannon uses two. So what it does, it renders your first powers at 0, 2, and then I'm just going to remove these slabs here just so you can more easily see. So it renders the internal powers at 0, 2. They hit this fence gate here, they go forwards into the barrel. Now, that's when you want your render queue to drop. So if you say if you have your internal powers on a repeater, and then like an observer coming out of that repeater, something like that, and your external powers on that, you can always just have like, I think a comparator into an observer will work for your render queue. It'll be a little bit iffy to time this. I haven't actually like fully wired up this cannon yet. I was just more so experimenting it as a concept, and it looks like it's all going to work properly. But if you have your render queue basically going between your second internal power and your first external power, that will allow you to split those powers apart. So then, like at 2, after the 2 internal powers go into the barrel, it opens this fence gate here. Now the external powers get shot up into this lantern. And because this fence gate's now open, it gets shot into this fence gate here, and it triangles forwards into this compartment here. You can see these are aligned to the chest, so you will get slightly different exposure in the barrel. So when it's lined up to this chest here, you can put another block here, and that's of course going to keep your external powers a bit lower than everything else. And whenever you do your barrel setup, it will look something like this. Yep. Yes. No. It'll be something like that. Yeah. There we go. So your internal powers boost the external powers here, which clip into this block. When they clip into this block, they go forwards, and they will clip into this block here, and then they will go forwards into the barrel, which we can say is like there. And now your hammer, everything else, isn't aligned to this chest here. So it's not going to clip into this obsidian block here. It's going to clip into this chest here. They're going to go straight up, across, and then into your barrel. And then you'll get like one there, one there. And then, of course, just to change it, just do that. And that will be the hammer sorted. Everything else is just like a fairly normal hammerless setup. So I've got the powers and the hammer going off at 2, 4, 6. So of course you just have a bit of TNT rendered at say 5, which will open up this fence gate and let the hammer through into your wasabi compartment. then shoots it forwards, and then of course you've got that trapdoor to flick down there to filter out the shots. And yeah, again, you still just have that trapdoor at the front there just to stop the shots from mixing up and getting like powers shot with your hammer. And that will be essentially the cycle. Speed for this cannon with this current setup, I think it should be able to do 0.7. It can definitely do 0.8. I think it should be able to do 0.7. It might be able to do 0.6. Maybe. I think 0.6 you might get a range limitation, so you might not be able to like shoot at close cannon boxes. You need to shoot at far cannon boxes. But it will definitely work at 0.7. So that's like the only limitation to this setup here is just the speed, but still 0.7 for a Ufusion is really quite nasty. I think Conda's current 360 runs at 1 sec, and that thing still hits pretty hard. So yeah, in total for this setup here, I've got for the internal powers, I've got about 100 TNT. For the external powers, I've got something like 700, and for the hammer, I've got about 500. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to share for you people. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new, and I'll catch you later.